Without unity, we cannot solve our security problems. Without unity, we cannot solve our economic problems. So if you unite Nigeria, that is the beginning of a new Nigeria and a revolution, development or otherwise, that will take place.
So when I told you that Nigeria has two constitutions, people say I'm saying no. Hey, it's not right. Nigeria has only one constitution, because I don't know where they get all this, their own, all these, rules that this is the thing you should follow. Because we have a constitution. When it comes to some Nigerians, when it comes to Nigeria, you use the law. When it comes to certain people, the law doesn't work. And then you are telling me we have two, we have only one. So why is it working? Why would you look at it now? Somebody will something will happen. Go to prison. You see so many people there who don't even they'll commit an offense. Court will have said, okay, go home and settle it. They will jail the person or send the person to detention pending when the case is determined in court. And look at bandits, criminals who commit treason because they kill Nigerians, and the government is sitting down to negotiate with them. Does it make sense? That's why I'm saying that for us to reset this country back, it will take us 500 years or more, because I don't understand what we need to say about this. So if they come, if they bomb some place, now you come them and begin to negotiate with them. Okay, what do you want? You are bombing, we'll pay you not to bomb another place.
Recall that the British government, by the proclamation of amalgamation, or what they call the Amalgamation Proclamation of January 1, 1914, brought the North and South together into what they call Nigeria. And Nigeria remained a colonial portion of Britain. It becomes a colony of Britain going forward from that point. And you now began to have the decolonization moves all over the world, and it became stronger and stronger, especially in the 40s and in the 50s, such that the British saw that they could not continue to colonize Nigeria, and they initially toyed with the idea of offering the natural fault lines of Nigeria, that is the northern region, the western region, and the eastern region. They wanted to offer them independence, individually, but at a point they changed their mind and decided to offer independence to the complete geographical entity called Nigeria. And now, as at 1953, the western region and the eastern region all have their constitutions ready. And that was what prompted Chief Anthony Enahoro to move a motion for independence in 1953. But Sir Ahmadu Bello, representing the northern region, objected to it. Rather, he made an 8-point demand, which all in all can be summarized to be the quest for regional autonomy. And so the western and the eastern region pulled back and waited for the northern region, whom, as Sir Ahmadu Bello said, were not ready as at 1953 for independence. So between 1953 and 1959, the three regions reviewed and refined their individual regional constitution. And so in 1959, they met at the famous Lancaster House there in St. James's District in the West End of London to deliberate. And after the deliberation, they agreed on two things. One, that they should all have regional autonomy, even within an independent Nigeria. Two, that they will have their regional constitution, from which they will donate their power to form a federal constitution by forming a federation. Recall that a federation is a union of constitutions, and therefore, as they approached the independence in 1960, they had 4 constitutions, 3 regional constitutions and 1 federal constitution. And so they went into independence having that system in place. Now in 1963, through plebiscite, a 4th region was created, which was the Midwestern region, with its own regional constitution. So all in all, as of 1963, there were 5 constitutions, 4 regional constitutions and 1 federal constitution. And Nigeria enjoyed and had the prospect of a true federation with the federating unit forming a union of constitutions to form the federal government of Nigeria. And this continued until the coups of 1966, one in January, one in July. And those 2 coups destroyed or collapsed the union of Nigeria. However, it must be noted that the autonomy of the regions were still maintained even when the union collapsed. But what happened was that there were killings orchestrated by the federal government, which now led the regions to go and meet at a place called Aburi in January of 1967. And they had what was then called the Aburi Accord, which said that they should maintain the status quo and have the autonomy. And very importantly, an addition to that Aburi Accord was what they called the autonomous regional regiments of the army. People must know this. One key highlight of that Aburi Accord was that they agreed to have autonomous regional regiments of the army, meaning that the regions will have control of the guns and not the federal government. Because the federal government had the control and they were using it to kill one part of the region. Now, when they came back from Aburi, the federal government reneged from that agreement. And the killings continued. And it was already known that the eastern region were going to go out of that union. And in order to stop them, Yakubu Gowon, on the 27th of May, 1967, promulgated Decree number 14. Decree number 14 abolished the regions and created 12 states. This was the death knell on the federation. In fact, it is on record that the Federation of Nigeria was died, killed, died and buried through Decree 14 of May 27, 1967. 3 days after that, the Eastern region declared the Republic of Biafra. And Yakubu Gowon objected to it and declared what he called a police action, which later blossomed into a genocidal war from 1967 to 1970, with the first shot of that war fired at exactly 6 a.m. on the 6th of July 1967 at a place called Gakem in the current Cross River State. That war consumed 3.5 million citizens of the Eastern region. And out of these 3.5 million, 2 million were children who were starved to death. These children were not shot at, they were not bombed, they were not beaten, they were intentionally and deliberately starved to death by Yakubu Gowon and his cohort. And so the war ended in 1970. And then the military junta headed by Gowon promised to return to civilian rule within 3 to 4 years. Now, what happened was that on the day that Nigeria celebrated its 14th anniversary, which was October 1, 1974, Gowon reneged from the agreement he had with his military colleagues that they are going to hand over power to civilians within the 3 to 4 years. In fact, he moved it to 1976 and even said in that broadcast of October 1, 1974, that there is no handover date. So it was hanging in the air. And so what followed was that exactly the same month, the same day, the same month, 9 years before, that Muhammad Buhari and his northern soldiers assassinated Major General Johnson Thomas Omonakwe Aguiyi-Ironsi. Exactly that same date in 1975. That is July 29, 1975, Yakubu Gowon was overthrown while he was in Kampala, in Uganda, attending OAU summit. He was overthrown by his fellow northern soldiers. And then they installed one Brigadier Murtala Muhammad as the head of state to be deputized by another Brigadier Olusegun Obasanjo. So that was the scenario. And Murtala Muhammad, in trying to keep with the promise of returning to civilian rule, now brought two lawyers, Chief Rotimi Williams and Professor Ben Mwabweze, who just came back from University of Tanzania. He commissioned two of them to write a draft constitution.
They say they want to review constitution. Now, so they also talk, say they want create state. I don't know which one we go soft do and which one will not go good. It could make them first of all do a brand new constitution for this country where it will reflect those new states where they will create. Because this constitution, what would they use so? Now, military I give out to us.
Okay, they talk to me then create brand new constitution.
Yes.
Okay, you see this constitution of the thing now, what would they talk about? This. Now, they said that military now give us this constitution.
Yes.
They 1999.
For 1999, they give us.
1999 constitution.
Yes.
People now, as they do the review of the constitution. Some people, the geopolitical zones where they go. People, they talk, say, may them give them more states. Say their region, then they lack of states. Some, they say they want local government. May them add more local government. Me, they talk, say the 36 states where they, and the 774 local governments. How we don't fare. But the thing when they pain me for this country, we say every state for this country gets its own natural resources. But these natural resources, I don't know whether now the state governments, now they not get the might or now they no want tap the natural resources there.
Even this state creation where they want to create now. I hear say when they go Benin, go do the constitutional review hearing. Some people for Benin get up say they don't want to share those states. House of Reps don't already bring out. They don't cut some part for those states. They create another state.
Constitution making is a bottoms-up process. In other words, you start from the ground up. You don't build from the top down. How can you draft a constitution, two men, and then you want to impose it on the other? Unfortunately, Murtala Muhammad did not live to see to the completion of that assignment by Chief Rotimi Williams and Professor Ben Mwabweze, because on the 12th of February 1976, Murtala Muhammad was assassinated by Colonel B.S. Dinka. He was assassinated by B.S. Dinka, and on the 14th of February 1976, Olusegun Obasanjo became the head of state, and he continued in the line of his predecessor, Murtala Muhammad. And October 1976, Professor Ben Mwabweze and Chief Rotimi Williams published a draft copy of the Constitution. And what did Obasanjo do? In 1977, he selected a few people and called them members of a constituent assembly, which he inaugurated in 1977. Can you imagine that? First of all, two people drafting a constitution, and then you bring in other people to rubber stamp it to make it look like it is the people's wish. But not to worry. The Constituent Assembly looked at the draft constitution produced by Professor Ben Mwabweze and Chief Rotimi Williams and rejected so many of their provisions, among which is one, the 19th state, because now it's no longer 12 states, it's 19th state. Murtala Muhammad created 7 additional states to the 12 that was created by Yakubu Gowon. They rejected the 19th state because it violates the autonomy of the regions, which was an agreement that was reached in Lancaster meeting in 1959. They also rejected the presidential system because the presidential system concentrates power at the center to the detriment of the federating units. What did Obasanjo do? In his response, and precisely on the 21st of September 1978, Obasanjo, in a nationwide broadcast, reintroduced all the rejected provisions that were rejected by the Constituent Assembly. In addition to that, Obasanjo introduced 17 amendments into that constitution. In other words, in summary, the draft document written by Rotimi Williams and Professor Benwa Bweze became the 1979 Constitution. And so came the civilian government of Alhaji Shehu Shagari. But because it was something that was done on a faulty foundation, the civilian government only lasted for 4 years.
If you understand how all this thing plays here, you will know that it is the constitution that we are after that is making us to be left behind. Because if you understand what these people have said here, you know that the constitution we're using in this country is a fraud. Because I don't know why some people go just come out when they talk say Nigeria B1, Nigeria B2, because if you know how they play, you go know say now when they don't change the constitution and be everything will be okay. We and northern people they used together now that time we everybody go get peace for this country. If you carefully understand how many people will be okay, them they talk for here, they talk, them say that now only when they don't change the constitution and everything will begin to move where all the time we don't divide. Because the constitution will say they use it, they benefit others more than others. So that is why you see okay, all these guys just come and come, they talk, say okay, may they change the current constitution that you be using, or they should divide the country. As for me, the thing will be okay, go fit help us for this country, now be that division of it in or changing of constitution, because the constitution we're using favors all these guys, all these Fulani guys more than also it be okay be the owner of this country. That is just it. And for you that is just hearing us now, if you have anything that you wanna see on top this matter, make it drop on inside comment section. And also if today's your first time, kindly like, share, subscribe. Thank you.